Good morning and welcome to the Sunday celebrations here for the Centers of Spiritual Living Denver. We are a loving and prospering community here in the heart of Capitol Hill and online. We know that with everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. Here at CSL Denver, we want you to know that we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for prayer work with you. Our names and phone numbers are on the website at www.csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, please email it to info@csldenver.org. Reverend Elzia, along with all of our guest speakers, all of our practitioners, our music and service coordinators want you to know how truly grateful we are for your online support. Thank you for watching our Sunday services, attending our online workshops and events, and providing financial support so that we can keep our virtual doors open. We love you all and know we'll be seeing you in person in the right and perfect time. And now, we'll continue to meet online until further notice. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Please go to www.csldenver.org and sign up for our newsletters. We only send out one per week. Or send an email to info@csldenver.org and request to be put on our mailing list. This week we are having our usual Zoom fellowship right after service. If you haven't already received an email this morning, please send an email to info@csldenver.org to request a Zoom invitation. Please join us. We would love to say hi and catch up with you. That's it for the announcements this Sunday. Again, thank you for tuning in, and now back to our service.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Good morning. I'm Rumi Engineer, practitioner at CSL Denver, and I wish you all a happy new year. Let us begin with a prayer. Relax, breathe in deep, and as the song said, I know that surely the presence of God is in this place. In this service, and in everyone who makes this service possible, and for everyone who is gathered here today. We are so blessed. We are blessed for the past year that has gone, and with the grace of God, we are here, survived and thriving, knowing that this year that follows, we will still be blessed and we'll move on to higher and greater heights. And so I bless Reverend Elzia's talk. I bless Diego, Alice, Reverend Robert, and each and every one, the practitioners, each and every one who comes to hear these uplifting words and to know that today is a wonderful and glorious new beginning of a journey that we have undertaken and will continue on, rising above our humane concerns to a greater consciousness of spirit within us and around us. And with great gratitude, I give thanks. Give thanks that my words are returned to me fulfilled, and knowing that all is well, all is perfect, complete, and whole. And together we say, and so it is. And so I let it be. Amen. 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 And now for the reading. Many of us go through the motions of daily life unaware of the beauty that surrounds us and is within us. We wait for something spectacular or rare to inspire us. Something spectacular has already inspired us, has already breathed life into us, and it continues to breathe us, maintaining and sustaining us with every breath. To live and to really experience life, as Robert Browning puts it, rather consists in opening out a way whence the imprisoned splendor may escape, than in effecting entry for a light supposed to be without. I think what we are seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experiences on the purely physical plane will have resonance within our own innermost being and reality, so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive, says Joseph Campbell in The Power of Myth. Life is meant to be lived. Living is a verb that requires our conscious and active participation. Without action, application, and practice, we aren't living. We are merely existing. The more we are conscious of our own truest essence, our divinity, and our oneness with all, the more every aspect of our individual lives is transmuted into our higher expression of life. It is in the daily that we encounter the divine. Daily practice is where it's at. And from our founder, Ernest Holmes, that which today seems to us supernatural, after it is understood, will be found spontaneously natural. And we believe that heaven is within us, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. And so it is. And now, to Susan Clark for her greetings and her song. Hi, Susan.
Hello, Susan Clark here, coming to you from beautiful downtown Sandia Park, New Mexico. I'm kidding, there's really not a downtown in Sandia Park, New Mexico. We did have a fresh snow last night into this morning, and so all the trees are glistening and the road is covered with just enough snow to make my driveway pretty treacherous getting up and down. But I'm thankful to be living where I live, and I'm also thankful to be sharing some of my music with you today, at least virtually. I want to take this opportunity to say hello to all my friends at CSL Denver and to wish you all a happy new year. And may we all be kind to ourselves and to others as we embark upon 2022. Hope to see you in person soon. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And I will see you when I'm supposed to.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Janice Stanfield, who is one of my favorite New Thought singer-songwriters. And I had the pleasure of meeting Janice. She was living in Denver for a while, and I was living in Denver for a while at the same time. And she was my guest at CSL Denver when we were on Humboldt. Remember that? Some of you might remember that. And she gave a concert after the service, and it was just a great morning. And this particular song of hers is called Butterfly. I hope you enjoy it. Sitting alone on a hillside, confused about what to do. My choices were all complicated. It was time to think things through. Spotted a striped caterpillar, stretching her face to the sky, then dragging her cumbersome body an inch at a time. I was feeling the pain of slow progress when a friend of hers fluttered by. And as I leaned close, the caterpillar spoke with a voice as soft as a sigh. And she said, bye. butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be alright. I'm like my friend caterpillar, afraid of that dark cocoon, wanting to hide in the tall grass. Change is coming soon, but all of the things that we long for are born on the wings of change, and losses can lead us to blessings that we can't explain. So butterflies remind us there's magic in every life, and we can become what we dream of if fat, furry worms can fly. So I say, butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be alright. I can feel the changes coming. I can feel it in my skin. I can feel myself outgrowing this life I've been living in, and I'm afraid of change. So butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be alright. On the day of my last breath, I expect to see angels like butterflies over my head. And I'll say, butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be alright. I can feel a change is coming. I can feel it in my skin. I can feel myself outgrowing this life I've been living in, and I'm afraid of change. So butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be alright. Oh, butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be alright. I'm gonna be alright. I'm gonna surrender and accept where I am right now. Oh, living in the wonderment of the change that each day holds.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you for that lovely song, Susan, and Happy New Year to you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love, a spiritual community teaching universal wisdom and applying ancient principles to embody the intelligence of the divine and empower our lives and the lives of others. Well, I trust everyone has had a wonderful holiday season and that everyone is pumped up and ready to go and start this new year of 2022 and to step into the idea of living your dreams, But now, before we get started on our topic today and set forth the theme for the month, I want to just ask everyone if they could to hold in their hearts with lightness and joy and upliftment of all those of our fellow Coloradans who were affected by the Marshall fires and are looking to get their lives back together. So we want to send some loving prayers and upliftment to them as we start this new year, and knowing that whatever we can do, let's do it to help those victims in that fire. And so as we look forward now, moving into the year of 2022, one of the key focuses of all the holidays that we just finished, whether it was Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa or any of the other holidays that happened during this season, one of the main ideas is to get in touch with the divine force of the universe and to look for ways to activate and cultivate that spiritual energy in our lives so that we are more connected and more aware and more in tune with everything around us. Now, during this month, we intend to provide some insight and some tools to do just that as we look at living a spiritual life in everyday affairs. How do we become more spiritual in everything we do? So I guess the first thing one might ask is, what is spirituality anyway? Or what is a spiritual life anyway? Well, I would pump the brakes right there and say, well, that's a hard question. But I can tell you this. Spiritual living does not just happen on a meditation cushion or on Sunday morning services. Spirituality is a way of life that happens every moment of the day. It is applying these ways of living, these tools that we're going to talk about throughout this month, and these principles so that they become regular and consistent in our daily activities. And so that when we begin to live life spiritually every day, we begin to see life flowing a little easier, and our choices are a little clearer, and some things seem to be miraculous that are happening in our face every day. Every day we have these little miraculous moments. And so it is in this supported and maintaining these spiritual practices that we begin to open up, that we begin to live life with grandeur and live into our dreams. So now let's just start by making sure we clearly understand what a spiritual practice is, because we just said that it's not just sitting on a meditation cushion or journaling or coming to Sunday service. A spiritual practice is any regular and intentional activity that establishes, develops, and nurtures our personal relationship with God. And through this process, our lives are transformed. Our lives are transformed, and we become more than we thought we were and begin to step into who we truly are. Now, that is the charge for this year, I would submit, because right now, this year is starting off where we start off the 2 years before with all kinds of stories about COVID and different ideas about challenges that we may face. But I would submit that if we begin to live life spiritually, with spiritual practice, we will begin to unleash a power that is within us that will allow us to move through these different challenges and waves of life easily and effortlessly. So the first thing, it is in our daily life that we encounter divine. The wonder of spirit is everywhere. We can't escape it because it is inseparable from who we are. It is our true essence. And when we become conscious of it and live in that awareness, our daily experiences become opportunities for transformation, not only individually, but collectively, to evolve us to the next level of understanding. And so I want to bring this up to see this moment here where we say that which today seems to us supernatural, after it is understood, will be found spontaneously natural, will be found spontaneously natural. And so what that's saying is, as we begin to practice these ways of living every day, the things that we now look at as miraculous, they will become a part of our everyday living. We will become open to the ideas of God being present in everything we do, And when that happens, we are practicing a spiritual life. We are practicing a spiritual life. Now, the question becomes, at the end of the day, as we go through these daily practices and begin to cultivate them, where do we start? What is the practice? Now, I want to submit this before we go into these 3 points of where do we start into living every day as a spiritual practice. Some of you are aware and familiar with Joe Dispenza's work on the whole idea of rewiring your brain and opening ourselves up to a different way of supporting life. And his work, his teachings are right in line with our religious science teachings that says, change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. And what he's done so brilliantly, he's been able to take this idea and move it over to a scientific realm so we can understand it. Because we know that you have these different parts of the brain, and I won't get too technical on you because some of you know I love to go into that science part. But there's the neocortex of the brain where our consciousness is stored and where all our memories and learning takes place. And then from there, we go into the limbic brain, which is a pretty much reflection of our conscious mind. Now, the relationship between these two parts of the mind, the conscious mind, if you will, and the emotional part of the mind, or brain rather, is this chemical connection between the feelings, the thoughts that we have, and the feelings and emotions that are created by the two coming together. And so when we begin to look at spiritual practice, or any practice, and I would submit all practice can be spiritual, when we move into that realm and we allow the consciousness and the concepts and the ideas become embodied in ourselves through experience, the body begins to create these feelings and emotions that in the body are chemical imprints that allow us to move forward. And so right now, in year 2022, we are looking forward to take the knowledge that we have of the divine, the knowledge of these teachings and of these wisdom emphasis from all over the globe, and begin to embody them and practice every day so that we become one. Now, the first thing that we need to do when we do that is we have to begin with intentions. We have to have intentions, because without intentions, we move into a space where we're not sure. But when we do that, we arrive at a consciousness of unity only in such degree as we see that we are looking from, we are looking with, and looking at. So what that's saying is this. That's saying that the mindset, the embodiment of our experience that we bring to any endeavor, that intention is where we must begin when we do anything. And for surely with the spiritual practice. Because as we said earlier, we're looking for these spiritual practices to transform our lives, to move forward. Now, for you to have that pure intention, it's nothing magical, but you have to set it. You have to set it. How many times have I know I've done it, and I would suspect some others have done it. I've said I'm going to exercise more, or I'm going to eat better, but I really didn't set an intention. I really didn't sit down and think about how I was going to allow the spirit to move these ideas in my mind. I just made a statement Some like a resolution, and some people love resolutions. I know, but for me, those resolutions put pressure and they don't help me integrate them. But when I start things with an intention, saying that I know that there's a place in me where God is, and that together I can envision what will take place. And then I begin the spiritual practice right there. Because that's the second thing we need to do. After we've set the intention, the second thing we need to do is you got to get started. You know, they say the longest step in any journey is the first step. You have to get started. And so when we begin to look at our lives as a spiritual practice, and that everything that we do is a spiritual practice, we just start with that intention. I can wash the dishes with intention as a spiritual practice. I can cook my food. I can eat. I can go to work. I can have conversations with my spouse or my kids or my friends as a spiritual practice, looking to transform my life and to awaken the God within. Because that is the epitome of who we are. That is what we intend to do each and every day, is to look at and find God in everything we see. To look at and find God in the good and the so-called bad. Because when we take that as a spiritual practice to transform our lives, with the intention that everything we see, everyone we meet, is a light that awakens something special within inside. And when we can do that, we begin to allow God to really open up. And so Eckhart Tolle says this: it is not uncommon for people to spend their whole lives waiting to start life. Spending their whole lives waiting to start life. Now, we don't want to do that. We don't want to get to the end of our lives saying, I wish I could have, or I should have, or any of that. We want everyone to set an intention and start it. And then make it a spiritual practice. Make it a way of communing with the God. And that's when we begin to be free. When we are able to have a thought, allow our bodies to come in sync with those thoughts, and then we move forward in freedom, in justice, in love, because everything is a practice. And now once we've gotten to that point to where we have allowed ourselves to set good intentions and get started, of course, you know the last thing, that's to be consistent. We have to be consistent. Because if we don't, we lose that momentum. One thing about consistency is it breeds momentum, and we will continue to move and forward and grow as we do these practices. When you look at a great athlete or a great musician or a great painter or a great leader, the one thing that all these individuals have in common, they set intentions, they get started, and they are consistent in their practice of what they are trying to do. You can't go out and hit a tennis ball once every week and expect to be like Serena Williams. Or you can't, paint like Picasso and do it once a month. It has to be a consistency there. And Picasso could have had the greatest visions in his head, but if he didn't set an intention to put it on canvas, and he didn't get started, and he wasn't consistent about painting every time he got that urge, his works of art would never be seen in the world. And that's where we are today. That's where we are right now, where we need to look at these obstacles, these things in life, as Paulo Coelho says in The Alchemist, it is the simple things in life that are the most extraordinary. Only wise men are able to understand them. Only wise men are able to understand them. Because you see, it's these simple things. It's these simple things of setting intentions and taking that first step and then being consistent so that we build that, as they say, muscle memory, that intelligence within that awakens God and allows us to say yes to all things in life, to move forward with grace. So what are your spiritual practice for this year? Think about it. What spiritual practice, one or two, that you're going to put in life that allows you to do it every day, that no matter what it is or how simple it is, it reminds you of the glory and the presence of God. That could be eating. That could be walking a labyrinth. That could be singing songs. That could be praying, of course, and meditating, of course. But it could also be running or swimming. Because remember, a spiritual practice is anything that puts you in touch with the divine on a regular basis to transform our lives. And so that's what we're looking for right now. We're looking for that ability to transform our lives with spiritual practice. So when these hard days come, when the difficult points arise, we have some tools to work with it. And it's not something that we got to find and hope it's in the toolbox, because if we use it every day, if it becomes part of our everyday living, it's already there. It's already there. We only need to turn into it. And so I'd like to put this up by Mary O'Malley that says, sometimes very extraordinary is happening. Something very extraordinary is happening here. There are no ordinary moments in your life. Everything we do is there. It's not ordinary. It's God in your life. It's you activating God within you through a spiritual practice that is done daily. And so that's where I would like to ask each and every one of us to move forward this year. Let's move forward with finding a few things in our lives that we already do, but let's do them in a spiritual way. Let's make them a spiritual practice so that when we do it, it awakens something within us and we begin to see God in all things. Now, as always, starting this year, no different from last, that we have these call to actions. And a couple things here. I'm going to put up this call to action, and then I'm going to put up a chart. Excuse me. So that we can begin to live life in wonder, which helps us get into this spirit of practice. And so if you would like a copy of this chart that I'm going to bring up in a moment, just send an email to info@cslddenver.org, and we will get this to you to begin to work through this and develop some practices. So now, one thing, here's the call to action: to take some time to turn within and contemplate the following aspects of your life: inner life, mental and spiritual well-being, play, creativity, emotions, your body, relationship, nature, work, finance, and a community. If there is another area that's not up here, then add it. But without judgment or trying to change anything, simply notice the areas where you feel expanded and which areas feel more constricted. What feels more constricted? Because here, what we want to do, we want to be able to look at our lives and see where we can implement some everyday practices to begin to get into the flow of life, to begin to move with ease and grace in all things. And to do that, I want to offer this living everyday wonder tool that kind of just puts out different aspects of your life for you to look at. And you can point just with a pen, just point where you think you are and see how holistic your life is, to see how full you are activating these different aspects of your lives. Now, the first thing we want to remember is in that statement we said there's no judgment, right? There's no judgment about where you are. We are where we are. The point is, how do we begin to live life more fully? So just think about that. And if you got any ideas about it right now, just stick it in the chat. Stick in the chat right now some areas in your life that you could begin to do some everyday spiritual practices to help you in your finance or help you in your physical well-being or in your relationships. And so as a part of this call to action, there's two questions I want to ask. In what areas of your life can you benefit from a little more practice, from a little more consistency? And the other question is, what is something that you have always wanted to learn to do but haven't done it yet? Think about it. Add it to your repertoire and make it a spiritual practice, whether it's learning the piano or singing or riding a unicycle. I mean, whatever it is. But find something that's going to create that spark so that every day becomes new. And when we do that, we begin to understand that every day, everything is a spiritual practice. All we need to do is start with intention, get started, and be consistent. And so I bring up this affirmation that says, I recognize the extraordinary in the ordinary, and that every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And that's what we're here to do, to unfold ourselves, to become more that God has made us to be. And so with that, I'd like to say thank you for being here. If there's anything that is on your heart right now, please release it and open up and allow God to start creating some spiritual practices of everyday living. And so right here, right now, let's just step into prayer. So if it feels comfortable, close our eyes and allow ourselves to be quiet and still, so we begin to see with the eyes of God and we begin to hear with the eyes of God. Because right here, right now, the only thing that exists and the only thing that ever existed was the power of the divine mind of God that is moving through each and every one of us and all of our activities and all of our doings and all of our beings. And as we awaken to that idea, we allow that spirit, that energy, that light to spread not only through our body, but into our activities and our affairs and our relationships, and everything is touched by the divine. And once we are touched by that still small voice that awakens us, there's no way to unhear it. Once the bell is rung, there's no way to unring the bell. The energy vibrates, and we are stepping into that vibration into this new year of 2022. And so with that, I right here, right now, declare for each and every one of us on this call and anyone that may come later, that this year we will begin to live life more fully, that we will live with enthusiasm and curiosity and an understanding that there is nothing and no place where God cannot elevate us to a level of greatness. And so it is in that understanding of the greatness of who we are and the greatness that we strive to be that we will live our lives as a spiritual practice every day, knowing that every day in every way we are getting better and better. And so I give thanks for this opportunity to learn. I give thanks for this opportunity to expand my view, to expand my heart, to open up to all things. And as we continue this prayer and wrap up, we send prayers and blessings of upliftment and encouragement to all those who may be in need of help or suffering in any kind of way, so that we know that this year will be better, will be enlightening, will be fulfilling, and be joyous for each and every one of us. And so with that, I just give thanks, I release, I let go, and I know that it is so, and so it is. Amen, amen, and amen. And so I want to thank everyone for being here. Again, if you would like that chart, please send an email to info@csldenver.org, and we will email that to you to start looking at your life holistically and to begin to practice everything in a spiritual way. And so right now we're in that time of our special offering, and we want to encourage and thank everyone for their grateful blessings of giving to CSL Denver continuously through these times. And we thank you for all of your gifts, times, treasures, and talents that you've provided for us. And whether this is your first time or you're a returning community participant, we want to thank you wholeheartedly for your financial support. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see the information running on the many different ways you can give by going to the website and hitting donate, or through text, or through just a regular old check through the mail. We appreciate and love and accept it all. And so if you would take right now your hand and place it over your heart to represent that tithe of giving and repeat our affirmation. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive, and so it is. Amen. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Reverend Elzia. Very powerful talk.
Thank you.
So know that our usual virtual fellowship on Zoom is this morning, and we would love for you to come join us and let us know how you're doing. If you did not receive the Zoom invitation earlier this morning, please send an email to info@csldenver.org and mention fellowship, and we'll send you a Zoom invitation right away. And also, we know and hold in our hearts and in our prayers all those who have been impacted by the Marshall Fire. It was pretty devastating, and so we just know and we hold in love and light for them as they move forward in their lives and getting their lives back together. So meanwhile, we hope that you have a wonderful week and affirm right here and right now that 2022 is blessed and perfect in all that it is. However, whatever it looks like, we just know that it is blessed and we are blessed. We love you. We miss you. Please take care of yourselves. And let's close out with I release and I let go.
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself, and I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know the love of